Previously, I've spoken about Bruce Brown and how there could be difficulties in trading him in the offseason, and that could still be the case. But some of the latest reports suggest otherwise, and that Bruce Brown could be traded a lot sooner than we might think. We are back at it again on Amateur Hour Clips, where we continue to provide you with Toronto Raptors news coverage and analysis. But over on this channel, we take the best highlights and segments from the main channel, Amateur Hour Sports, where we do live streams covering the Raptors even further and put them on this channel to make it a whole lot easier for you to consume the content. If you like what you see from this video today, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we're always dropping content over here that you're not going to want to miss out on, especially if you are a Toronto Raptors fan. And also along the way, it really does support the channel if you smash that like button. Now, let's get back to the video. And when I say a lot sooner than we might think, I also say a lot sooner than I might think. I very much thought that it would be difficult for the Raptors to make any move with Bruce Brown in the offseason. It would just be difficult to do. I didn't rule it out. I didn't say it'd be impossible, but it seems like bringing Bruce Brown back and then looking towards a trade, maybe closer towards the trade deadline, is the more likely avenue for the Raptors to pursue with the forward, who wasn't at his best when he arrived with the team. But I will maintain, and I see some stuff in the chat here saying Bruce Brown isn't good. Like, what are you actually going to be able to get for Bruce Brown? But Bruce Brown, at least according to himself, was dealing with an injury. And even if he wasn't, and he wasn't playing that well for the Raptors, as well as maybe we would have wanted and would have expected, everyone knows who Bruce Brown is. Everyone knows how good he is, especially after his role in the Denver Nuggets winning the NBA championship in 2023. And perhaps having a player like that coming off the bench would have allowed them to progress even further in 2024. But ultimately, they were priced out by a very lucrative offer by the Indiana Pacers. It's about $21 million with, I think it was 22 actually, with a $23 million team option for next season. And that team option, I thought, like, there's just no way the Indiana Pacers are going to pick this up. There's just no way after 1 year. Like, I love Bruce Brown. I like him as a player. But there's no way a team is going to pay him $23 million. Well, all of a sudden, the Raptors could be that team that has to pick up the $23 million contract because 23 is a good number to trade. It's not a crippling number as far as trades are concerned. So picking that up for the Raptors gives them the option to move him. And according to the Toronto Star, the Raptors are preparing to trade Bruce Brown this offseason. The Knicks and Lakers could be teams that look to pick the player up, but there is going to be plenty of contenders willing to offer a first-round pick to make this trade happen. And again, this comes from the Toronto Star. And it's interesting looking at this article here because I've always maintained people know who Bruce Brown is. There are going to be offers for Bruce Brown. But so many Raptors fans became almost afraid and frightened and almost enraged by the trade that went down to bring Bruce Brown to the team. By the way, the trade wasn't for Bruce Brown to come to Toronto. The trade was sending Siakam to the Pacers for picks, and we needed to match salary somehow. Well, in comes Bruce Brown, who makes probably a little bit more money than he should be making. That balance of the salaries to make the Siakam trade possible, bringing Bruce Brown to the Raptors. So it's not like the Raptors were like in a crippling spot by having Bruce Brown on their team, but there were people who were enraged, thinking we've absolutely tanked Bruce Brown's trade value. We're never going to be able to trade him. We'll be lucky to get a second-round pick. And I thought, no. Contenders know who he is, and they're going to be willing to offer a first-round pick. And the Raptors, what delayed this trade and why it didn't happen at the deadline, and, they can still trade him now, so it's fine, but they didn't trade him at the deadline. They wanted a 2025 pick, not a 2024 pick. All that people were willing to offer were 2024 picks. Well, now it's impossible to offer up a 2024 pick because we're going to wait until after the draft is done in order to make this trade. And the Raptors are eyeing a pick for the 2024 draft. And once again, according to Doug Smith, who is well connected with the Raptors, expect plenty of contenders willing to offer their first-round pick for Brown. And the 2025 draft, as we know, is likely to be a lot stronger than the 2024 class. So the Raptors understood they had time on the side, understood they had the possibility of flexibility with his contract, and now will have the opportunity to move Bruce Brown and pick up a first-round pick. So this is an interesting one because I certainly would not have expected a trade to go down this summer. And I'd say I'm going to go back on my point and say at this point I would have the expectation that Bruce Brown now is going to get traded this summer if they're pursuing it. But a lot of the initial reports suggested that the Raptors are going to be pursuing a Bruce Brown trade in the offseason. They are going to be pursuing a trade. But obviously, they're going to be pursuing a trade. They're going to try and make one happen, but there's not going to be a significant rush to do so. And in the end, if the Raptors want to continue to kind of hold their cards close to their chest and play this one out as long as possible, this could be a trade that ends up getting delayed a little bit longer as well. But again, with the newfound reports, with the aggression towards making a trade, with the aggression towards, setting up your core for the season, knowing what's in place, having people want to be here, and having players that are here that you want to have here as well, I understand wanting to push for a trade to happen. And I think the Raptors have benefited from results in the playoffs. The Lakers getting the Nuggets in the first round was great because the Lakers weren't better than the Nuggets. They could have beaten maybe any other team, but they couldn't beat the Nuggets. So from the Lakers' perspective, they're thinking they underachieved. I think the Lakers could have gone further had they not run into the Nuggets, but in their eyes, they underachieved and now are looking to make a fix. Perhaps Bruce Brown, looking at him, could be part of that fix. Look at the New York Knicks running out of gas in the second round. Had they made the conference finals, are they as aggressive potentially in trying to make a deal here for Bruce Brown? Who knows? Maybe not. So, once again, I think the Raptors have profited a little bit by some of the results in the playoffs as far as a Bruce Brown trade is concerned. So, I can see the Raptors trying to move on from him in the offseason. And I think that also what is a big reason why they want to push for this trade now is to not be paying that $23 million to Bruce Brown, specifically because they want to focus their financial side of things. Well, they have to worry about Emmanuel quickly. They will eventually have to worry about Scotty Barnes. But they also want to worry about a certain Gary Trent Jr. He's coming off of an $18 million contract, $18.5 million contract, player option that was taken this season. He's an unrestricted free agent. Getting Bruce Brown off the books is going to give the Raptors an opportunity to free up the flexibility to bring back Gary Trent. So I think a lot of what these rumors sort of suggest, number one, the Raptors want to solidify their roster for this upcoming season, but a lot of it as well is going to be, hey, we have a priority to bring back Gary Trent Jr. It becomes a whole lot easier by getting rid of Bruce Brown, getting rid of that contract, and focusing on re-signing Gary Trent Jr., bringing him back to the team because he had a positive end of the season. And if Gary Trent kind of accepts I'll put it in as a sort of euphemism, say a more specific role, then I think that there could be a great relationship long-term between Gary Trent Jr. and the Toronto Raptors, especially with the player seemingly like he enjoys playing for the Raptors. He enjoys playing for Toronto. He just enjoys it here. He enjoys playing in the Eastern Conference. So with all that in mind, with all that being said, this is probably a smart move by the Raptors to try and move Bruce Brown right at the start of free agency, closer to the NBA draft, getting a pick for next season rather than this season, getting a 2025 first-round pick rather than a 2024 first-round pick. And with all these things considered, as far as Bruce Brown is concerned, it's easy to want it to happen, but perhaps it's a little bit easier said than done. It's still a big contract. It's still going to be maybe difficult for a team to try and match the salaries there, but maybe it's going to be easier now than it would be close to the deadline. Regardless, if a trade doesn't happen this summer, in this offseason, we know teams are willing to give a first for him. We know teams are interested. And again, the Raptors can maintain that flexibility and will still be able to trade him up towards that 2025 trade deadline. So, look, the hope for Raptors fans, I agree, is to trade him as soon as possible. If we got to wait, not the end of the world. Something good can still go down for this team.